All right, so let's take a look at Memorial Sheet for Karl Liebknecht by Kath Kollwitz. I apologize, you're going to hear my dumb dog whining in the background because she wants to be outside. So, first let me give you some background, historical background on Karl Liebknecht so we can realize why was this created. Karl Liebknecht was a German radical, a communist. He was originally in the Social Democratic Party, but he and Rosa Luxemburg together found the Spartacist Party and the German Communist Party together, basically because the Social Democrats begin to they're too moderate. Um, After World War One, the Social Democratic Party comes to power in Germany, and they ally with right-wing forces, basically paramilitary right-wing forces, in order to crush any kind of communist or more leftist uprisings in Germany. So in 1919, when there is such an uprising, not led necessarily by Liebknecht and Luxemburg, but they did participate in it. Um, the Luxembourg. Okay, okay. Also, those noises are people are working outside. Luxembourg and Liebknecht are kidnapped. They are tortured for several hours, and then they are both shot, and their bodies are dumped by the sort of on orders of the Social Democratic Party and the paramilitary right wing forces. So here you have that's what was happening, and this is where we come to when we look at this work. So let's talk about Kath Kollwitz. Why Kath Kollwitz does this and how she does this memorial for Karl Liebknecht. So she's grouped as a German expressionist, but that's not how she classified herself. She doesn't identify as an expressionist or a German expressionist, but you'll see that that's how she's in textbooks and things like that. That's how she'll be identified. She's not Die Bruck. She's not Der Blue Reiter like Kandinsky or as I said, like Die Bruck. She's an independent expressionist. Her work always focuses on the working class. She makes her work for social change. She is a leftist. She's not allied with any particular, like either the socialist or the communist party, but she's a leftist. And she comes from a long line of her whole family were radical socialists and communists and leftists. So she knew the Liebknecht's family, and they commissioned her to make this print after his death. And she was very upset by his death. She, even though she wasn't a Spartacist, or a German communist, she, held a lot of political views in common with those parties. She was very opposed to war. Her youngest son died in World War One. In fact, much of her most famous work is about features mothers mourning their dead sons, their children that were lost in war. That's perhaps some of the most well-known work that she made. So she finds she's sympathetic with the party's beliefs, and she found the deaths of Liebknecht and Rosenberg to be absolutely abhorrent. She was very shocked and horrified by what happened to them. So she looks. If you look at this, it took her a long time. And let's go to the bigger print here. It took her. She went through many iterations of the portrait. She was trying to get it just right, really trying to make it work. And what in the end we see is we have these. First of all, the form is broken to. If we look at the picture plane, broken to 3 registers roughly, right? And the way that it's structured is almost like a lamentation scene. That she's playing off of kind of a Christian lamentation, like the lamentation of Christ after Christ is crucified. If we're going to kind of think about who is really the focus here, it really is the mourners, right? You can see the solemnity, the expressive body language, the gestures that they make are, if you think about Kollwitz as being an artist who is very concerned with the plight of workers, it makes sense that that's who she focuses on, that those are the expressions that she most attempts to capture. The mourning of these people who have come to mourn this political leader that held so much promise for them, that was going to fight for them and their rights. Um, it's kind of like it's been called a socialist pietà, this work. So you can kind of think of it that way. What else do I want to tell you about Kath Kollwitz? This work. Oh, right. She when she does all the different iterations, she eventually comes into doing this in the form of a woodcut, which, as we know, she's German, is a very traditional German medium, right? Kind of comes to its fruition and epitome in Germany. Um, okay, here's my dog being very annoying. And in part of why she really likes printmaking is because of its affordability. Because, right, she wants people to be able to see her work. She wants it to be for the people. In terms of oh yeah, let me just give you some other stuff about Kollwitz. Her art talent was very much encouraged by her family. She was the first woman elected to the Prussian Academy of the Arts. She was forced to resign her position in the Academy of the Arts when the Nazis came to power. The Nazis confiscated, took all of her work out of museums. She wasn't considered a degenerate because she was just so well known and so famous that the Nazis didn't go so far as to do that because they knew that would look um, politically unpopular if they were to do that. And in fact, they commandeered one of her works of a mother and child and used it in Nazi propaganda to her horror. She was threatened by the Gestapo, threatened her and her husband, saying that they were going to be sent to a concentration camp. All over the world, people were offering to get her out of Germany. People were offering to, artists in the United States were saying, come and you can stay here with me. She wouldn't leave because she was scared that her family that remained behind would suffer reprisals. She is evacuated from her home in 1943. Her house is bombed during the war and burns, and we've lost a lot of Kath Kollwitz's work because it was in her home, and she dies in 1945. So that's everything about Kath. Sorry about all the noise in the background. Hopefully you could hear me.